Welcome to the interior of the brand new Range Rover Sport, a car that literally wrote history from the moment it was launched up until now. And it did so for a couple of very interesting reasons. The automotive industry has a couple of very interesting legends, or legendary cars, if you will, that are prevalent everywhere you go. And if you ask any random person on the street about them, they will know what they are. I'm talking about cars like the Volkswagen Beetle, for example, or the Golf, or the Toyota Corolla. They are ubiquitous cars. They are cars that are seen and known by everyone, very popular, and they have a special place in the industry's history book, if you will. One of the attributes all of those cars have in common is their longevity. Usually to become an icon, a legendary car, you need at least 30 years of production and good sales figures. Well, in the case of the Range Rover Sport, I would be very inclined to say this car has already reached legendary status in just 3 generations. And that is quite impressive. So yes, this is the 3rd generation Range Rover Sport, and it is a very impressive machine from all angles. Now, some people have said that it is not radically different from the outgoing model, at least in terms of design, and I agree. If you look at the design of this car, you will notice that it's not radically different compared to the outgoing model. That is true, but that's not a bad thing whatsoever. The previous model was quite a good-looking car and still is. The new one just improves on that recipe using a new design language that's meant to minimalize the broad strokes of the exterior of the car, the character lines decorating it, and so on. It's a very simple, clean-cut design that improves on what the old Range Rover was doing great already. So up front, you'll notice the headlamps are slimmer, the daytime running lights are slimmer as well, but the overall shape is similar to the outgoing model. The grille has also been reshaped slightly, and the front bumper also has a more clean-cut design, not only to make it look more aggressive and elegant, but also to improve its aerodynamic capabilities. This car is very aerodynamic, probably hinting at a future electric model that we're all expecting. As a matter of fact, right now you can buy a plug-in hybrid version of this car, but I'm going to talk about the drivetrains just a bit later on. So in terms of design, it's quite aggressive, quite elegant. I like the fact that the windows don't have frames at the bottom, so they seem to blend into the doors rather seamlessly. I like the fact that the door handles go flush with the doors once you set off, so they hide inside the doors, for example. I know some people will be concerned about winter time and freezing, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I also like the fact that when you open the doors, the side steps extend quite nicely and graciously to help you get in and out of the car. So quite impressive. Also, round the back, I think that's where the most differences happened. We have a new thinner set of taillights with LED technology. We have the traditional Range Rover writing on the boot lid, and we have rounded off shapes all around. Real exhaust pipes, a diffuser at the back, and I think it looks absolutely stunning, especially from the back. So everything is clean cut, and inside the cabin you'll notice a lot of similarities with the regular Range Rover, if you will, that I tested earlier last year. Because the cars are built on the same new platform that uses a lot of high tensile steel and aluminum to lower the weight, but also improve the rigidity, the structural rigidity of the car. Yeah, just like on the regular Range Rover, we have this 13.1-inch screen, curved screen for the PV Pro system, which actually works pretty well, and I like its unique design. I think it works great with the car. It's easy to use. You have all the information you could possibly need. For example, off-roading information for whenever you want to leave the safety of asphalt behind. and even the vehicle dimensions are mentioned here. So yeah, I didn't mention this at the exterior design part. This car is 4.95 meters long. It has a wheelbase of 3 meters, which means you have plenty of room inside. As you can tell, I have enough room up front, and when I sat in the back, I had enough room in the back as well. The only issue I have over there is the access. The wheel well does cut into the door, the rear door, quite a lot, so getting in and out can be tricky. But if you use the side steps, you won't have any issues whatsoever. The ground clearance is 22 centimeters, so pretty high, and that can also rise a bit depending on the driving mode you're in, because the cars come with adjustable air suspension, so it can rise or lower the ride height depending on the situation. For example, if you want to go wading through up to 90 centimeters of water, the car can raise its suspension. Also, if you want to drive fast, it will automatically lower its suspension by 4 centimeters. So doing all these tricks in order to keep you as safe and as comfortable as possible. But returning to the interior, well, the materials used are of incredible quality. The build finish and the fit and finish are impeccable. The build quality is impressive. The door cards have leather up top, textile materials in the middle, leather then again on the armrest. You have textured wood panels over here. You have leather even inside the door cards. So impeccable craftsmanship. The build quality is really outstanding and above its German rivals, if you ask me. We also have a 12.3-inch digital cluster over here. Nothing special to write about that. And I especially love this two-tone steering wheel as well. So as you can probably hear, it's dead quiet inside. This is one of the most refined rides I've had the pleasure of experiencing during my 12 years of automotive journalism. Also because you have noise cancelling technology on board. So the car actually uses its speakers to infuse the cabin with certain frequencies that level out the road noise that would otherwise come into the cabin. And it really works. It's incredibly quiet up here, even at highway speeds. So nothing to complain about in this regard either. But let's talk about how it drives. Well, as I said, it's built on the same platform as the Range Rover, and it is incredibly comfortable. All cars come with air suspension, which does a brilliant job, but there are certain levels to that air suspension. You can get a air suspension that's set up to be sportier than normal. You can get active anti-roll bars that can actually push the inside wheel in a corner or the outside wheel in a corner, depending on the situation, to keep the car as balanced as possible. You can fit this car with integral steering that will also help it be a sportier car whenever you want to drive in a faster fashion, or whenever it can help you out whenever you're trying to park this rather long car in a busy city street. It's not the length that's the issue when driving around town, but it's the width. It's 2.2 meters wide, and that could pose some challenges for some people. But I didn't have an issue because this car has a brilliant camera setup that actually shows you everything you want to see around the car. So this 360 degrees surround camera system is actually quite brilliant. And despite the size of the car actually knows how to park itself and how to get you out of a parking spot, and it works rather nicely. I tested it earlier, so no issues in that regard. But let's get back to the driving part of this test. As I said, the air suspension does its job brilliantly. You can actually feel how it changes the rigidity of the dampers whenever you enter sport mode or dynamic mode. Excuse me, that's the official name for Range Rovers. And if you're driving in comfort mode, it soaks up the bumps brilliantly. We are riding on 20-inch wheels though, which are some of the smallest you can get on this car. The biggest you can get are 23-inch ones, and I'm sure that if you get those, the ride won't be as comfortable as it is in this car. But I think 20-inch wheels are enough for a Range Rover of this size. If you want to drive it sporty, you will feel its weight, but I don't have all the bells and whistles installed on this car, like the integral steering I was talking about earlier, or like the active anti-roll system. But even so, you do feel the weight of the car, and I think it's amplified because you're sitting so high when you're behind the wheel. But at 2.3 tons, you can't really say this car is light. No, not at all. But it will do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.7 seconds. Why? Because this is the P400 model, which uses a 3-liter straight-six engine under the hood, petrol engine, that's been turbocharged and can deliver 400 horsepower and up to 550 Newton meters of torque. It's a mild hybrid setup, so it has a small starter generator on board that can help you when you're setting off, or it can alleviate the internal combustion engine from some auxiliary functions and so on. And actually, I saw a really decent fuel consumption while driving this car. On average, it returned 14.5 liters per 100 kilometers covered, which is not bad for a car with 400 horsepower and a weight of 2.3 tons in total. So yeah, quite impressed with the results. And the engine is silky smooth, quiet. You only hear it when you enter dynamic mode, and that's when some fake noise is pumped into the cabin to give you some audible feedback. But other than that, it's incredibly smooth and quiet. As for the gearboxes, well, you only get one. It's an 8-speed automatic gearbox from ZF. It's quite well known. A lot of manufacturers are using it, and I noticed no issues whatsoever with it. You get all-wheel drive on all cars and a number of driving modes, as Range Rover got us used to over time. And this is probably the most capable car in this segment anyway, in terms of off-roading. So what is there left to say? What's the conclusion regarding this amazing car? Well, to be honest, I love it. I love it very much. I felt so pampered during my time with it. I love the way people look at you when you drive one of these. I guess it's pretty new and everybody is just checking it out, but it's attracting a lot of curious looks. It looks great, it drives great, it's incredibly comfortable, incredibly spacious, well built, and incredibly luxurious. So what's the takeaway? Well, I actually like it more than its rivals, and I would include here the Porsche Cayenne, the Bentley Bentayga, the BMW X5, the Mercedes-Benz GLE, and the Audi Q7, and I think it's above all of them. It just rose to my #1 spot. If only Range Rovers were just a tad bit more reliable, because in every consumer index you could find out there, they usually finish last. I'm hoping this new generation will turn out to be more reliable, because it's a shame. This is a pretty darn good product. I love it, and it would be a shame to be facing the same issues older models have faced over time. I would definitely buy one. As for the pricing, well, it will vary depending on the market you're in. This car has a list price of 124,000 euros. It doesn't really have a lot of optional features on it. It has the dynamic package on it that brings copper-colored accents on the outside and a more aggressive look, but it doesn't really have a lot of expensive add-ons. Like the sunroof is the most expensive one at 2,000 euros, but other than that, just some minor details have been added on. But I think it's a well-configured car. It has everything you could possibly need, and I absolutely love it. I know it feels like I'm praising this car a lot, but I really like it. So I would buy it over the X5, the Q7, the GLE, the Bentayga even, any day of the week. But I want to know what your opinion on this car is, which one you would get in the segment, and if you think it's worth the money. Well, let me tell you just a little secret before I go. Once you drive this car and you see what kind of attention you get and how well it makes you feel, you will instantly think it's worth the money, just like I do right now. Until next time, don't forget to feed your passions, and of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Ciao.